Hi, my name is Meghna Vikram, and today we'll be talking about parts of a Java program. So before we really get into it, I just want to talk about what a simple Java program usually looks like, and this is the example. So this is a really basic program. All it does is print out hello, comma, world. But what I want you to get from this is this red line right here, which is called the main method. So the main method is basically the method called at the beginning of the program, which then lets the program call as many methods as it would like. So this method is calling all the methods here on in the program. So what a class is and what a method is, these are two key parts of a Java program. So a class is just a blueprint or a template for the objects inside the program, and it usually reflects like a real world concept or idea. And a method is just a block of code that's called afterwards, and it just performs whatever it's been told to do. So over here on the right, you can see here's an example of a program. So right here, the class that's been called is called person. And person has 5 methods. It has get name, get age, set name, set age, oh, and person. I don't know why I skipped that. But it has 5 methods. And every single method is doing its own thing. Like here it's setting these equal to these, and here it's returning name, and here it's returning age, and here it's setting this equal to this, and this equal to this. So all methods are doing is just setting something or making something happen. And all the class is doing is kind of being the big roof over everything. So everything that's happening in the program is happening inside of the class. Now, sometimes there are also instances where a class can extend into another class. That's called superclasses and subclasses, but we'll probably get into that in another video. So all I want you to get away from this is that two key parts of a program are classes and methods. So the class is just that overarching blueprint umbrella, and the methods are things that happen inside of the class, and they all pertain to the same subject or entity. Now, the next thing I want you to look at is the import statements. So import statements are just used to bring in these classes from like other packages or other places. And a package is just like a big, like, think of it like a big storage for just classes. So an import statement is just how you bring in those classes. So here you can see the import statement brought in array list from the package called util. And then the second import statement brought in a list also from the package util. So all I want you to get from this is that import statements are bringing in classes. And then once these have been brought in, inside this class my program, array list can be called and list can be called. Now, the next thing I want to talk about are data types. So these are a big part of Java. And by themselves, they're not really much, but you have to use them inside methods to really get to make things easy for yourself. So there are a bunch of like different types of data types, but the main ones I wanted to focus on are the integer data type. You see it in the syntax as int, and that's just used for numbers. And then there's double, which is for numbers as well, but numbers with decimals. So int is basically for whole numbers, and double is for decimal numbers. Um, and then there's string, which is just words. And every time you write a string, like if you're using a data type string and you want to put, like for here it says John, you have to put it in quotation marks. Notice how in int and double, the numbers were not in quotation marks, but for string, they have to be in quotation marks. The fourth one is Boolean, which is just true or false. Like, am I a girl? True. Or am I a boy? False. So Boolean is just true or false. And then the last thing are arrays, which is just like here, for example, is an int array. And there's 5 different numbers in this array. And how you look at an array or how you know that something is an array is if it has these 2 square brackets. The next thing I want to talk about is control structures. And control structures are just, they kind of navigate the flow of the program. So it has a bunch of like if statements in a program, or like if a program has if statements, loops, switch statements, anything like that, it's helping the flow of the program. It's less writing, more work done in a less amount of time. It's just controlling the efficiency pretty much. So here on the right in this example, you can see there's an if statement right here. And it's just determining if the number is positive, negative, or 0. And if it's positive, it prints here. If it's negative, it prints here. And if it's zero, it prints here. But all it does is it kind of shortens everything into this one if statement. And to think about it, how else would you really do this? Like, in a very common sense way, if the number is greater than zero, it's positive. If the number is less than zero, but since it wasn't greater than zero, let's say the number is less than zero. Since it wasn't greater than zero, let's check the next option. If this doesn't work, check the next option. It just helps control the flow of the program. And the last thing I want to talk about today are comments. So, comments are not really anything useful to the actual code itself, but they're used kind of to help the programmer. So, they're used to like document whatever you want to say. Like, let's say you have a string of like 10 methods coming up, and you're like, okay, these methods are separate from like these three methods up here. So just to kind of like a note to self almost, you can make a comment which doesn't affect the program at all, but it's there for almost your reference. So you can have a single line comment where it's just like a couple words and you put a double slash. But let's say like you need to write a lot. You put one slash and then you put an asterisk, and then when you want to end it, you put an asterisk and then a slash, just like how it's demonstrated here. And all the comment is doing is just giving you context and explanations for yourself. Thank you for watching.